Listen to the Vibes.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. I have here Mr. Alex Wick. If you recognize him, he's been on shows like Blue Bloods. I believe the movie was The Informer, if I'm not mistaken.
The Equalizer. I was on John Wick. I've been in The Drop with James Gandolfini. Pawn with Ray Liotta. And I want to thank you, Kyle, for having me today. I'm really looking forward to it. And hi, everybody out there.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day for this. You know, we're mutual Kiss fans. So, you know,
hey.
Kiss fans stick together.
We stick together. That's right. Boom. Oh, you got it on your hands. That's great.
Tell everybody like where you were born, what you did as a kid, and how you got into martial arts and all that good stuff.
Sure. I was born in New Haven, Connecticut, and New Haven's known for, of course, its pizza, but Yale University. I grew up like every other kid. I was digging sports. I played basketball in high school. I grew up a Yankee fan. I loved football. And what got me into the martial arts was something that me and my sister can do that it was more like individual type of thing, where like someone who does gymnastics or goes to boxing or swimming. And we went to a school in Connecticut, and then we joined and we loved it. And we've been with it ever since. And what we found out, it really wasn't just an individual sport, because now you're in a group of with other people in class, so it's like one big family. So it's like not one-on-one, it's like a group. And then I've been doing it for like 50 years now, and I started training in New Haven, and then my instructor had different schools throughout Connecticut. And then he had to leave for some personal business, and then I reached out to Grandmaster Heel Cho in Los Angeles, California. And this gentleman next to Bruce Lee has been on most magazine covers, and Bruce Lee has been on most, and Heel Cho has been on the next most. So I started going from Connecticut two times a year for about a week to work out with him. And that's where my technique started to evolve more and grow, because he was a traditionalist, but he was more practical and realistic, where before I never put in hand boxing techniques, and he incorporated jab, cross, left hook, uppercuts with the kicks. And I did Hapkido with Mr. Lee, but then he did more of that. So his philosophy, and he wrote a book, was called The Complete Martial Artist. So he liked to take different techniques, and that's what I adapted from him and incorporated to my students that felt were the most effective, that my students would benefit out of it. So if there was a technique from Hapkido or Jiu-Jitsu or someone like that, and I can incorporate that into the curriculum along with the kicks and punch, then my students would be more well-rounded, and they'd be more better to handle themselves in a situation. Because like Taekwondo is known for a lot of kicks, and a lot of arts are just stand up, but they don't know what to do when they're on the ground. And you got a lot of stand-up people saying that, well, I'm not going to end up on the ground. There's a good chance you're going to end up on your ass. So you got to know what to do. I'm not now, I mean, we don't practice every single night ground fighting, but we go over techniques. Now, I tell people, that's great. If you want to learn more, then go to a school that does it on a regular basis. And there are good schools like that. So I'm not one of these cats that are like, oh, this school's no good, that school's no good. We do this. And if you want to do a little bit more jiu-jitsu, I'm not a jiu-jitsu practitioner to do every day. I know moves from it, but if you want to do it and know it totally, go to a place where it does it on a regular basis. So I would like the students to be more well-rounded, know how to kick, know how to punch, know how to elbow, know how to knee, know what to do on the ground. Someone grabs them, joint manipulation, stuff like that against a knife and a gun, close range, on the ground. That's what I believe the students should be able to do. It's more practical, it's more realistic, and it's what's going to happen when you're outside in a real fight.
You've been in Taekwondo for a long time. How in the world did you get from doing that into doing acting?
Well, what happened was when I was training in Los Angeles with Master Cho, he's done some movies. He was in the movie Best of the Best with James Earl Jones, and he played the coach of the Korean team. So there was Eric Roberts, and James Earl Jones was the coach of the American team. Master Cho played the coach of the Korean team. So he was involved with that whole group. Goldie Hawn's kids and Kurt Russell's kids trained there. So he was on Pico Boulevard and Wilshire then for a while. So he was in with all those people. So he suggested I get into it. He said, you have a unique kind of look. You should really pursue it. So I did. And I always kind of want to do it in the first place. So when I came back to Connecticut, I took pictures and did what everybody else did. And I did some soap operas back in the day. But then when 9/11 happened, it kind of like, well, it hit everybody really hard. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to chill out for a while. This is just really awful what happened. I'm just going to stay close to home. But then my photographer and other people reached out to me and said, hey, what are you doing, man? You know, you should look and get back into it. And I was like, okay, I will. So what happened was we took pictures, but then I really identified and I created a character, because the pictures I took before were just like, you know. Then I was like, no, you're a killer, okay? So Jason took pictures of me in more roles of like me as a tough, kind of like mercenary type of person. So I was getting a lot of Russian gangster, Eastern European roles, because my father was Ukrainian, my mother is German. And so I would get all these roles, like in John Wick, The Drop with James Gandolfini. I played a Chechnyan gangster. Paul and I played Ray Liotta's right-hand man. So stuff like that. Then what happened was I said, well, I want to do more than these thug roles. And I said, maybe I should go scruffy, okay? So a modeling agency I was with in Pennsylvania said, Alex, you'll get more print work if you go scruffy. And I wanted to go scruffy to begin with. So I got rid of the goatee, and then I got more roles, not as hardcore, but still got the gangster roles, but a little bit more polished of a gangster. Like in Eastern Promises, Viggo Mortensen, you know, he had like the tie and so on and so forth, the hair slicked back, was clean shaven. So now I get roles more like that, and get more print roles. And on Blue Bloods, I'm an undercover detective, which when I first started, I had the goatee, but now I still can get away with it being scruffy. So that's how that whole thing evolved like that. So now rather than just doing being a prisoner or a killer, I can be the guy. I just did a audition for a Medicare Advantage commercial trying to sell some So I've come a long way, I think, Kyle. I'm going to blow someone's head off, and now I'm going to sell you medical insurance. So when I worked with Al Pacino, and I didn't have a big role in it, I played a prisoner in the movie The Irishman.
I love that movie.
Yeah, they asked me, will you shave? I said, yeah, I'll shave. And then when I did the last John Wick, I had to do a promo photo shoot. And I went there with scruffy. And then the lady came up to me and said, Alex, you know, the director wanted to know if you would shave. Yeah, I'll shave, man. You know, it's going to grow back, you know, so I'm good with that. So I go with whatever, you know, they would like me to do. And then I had longer hair back in the day, which was cool. And I wore it in a ponytail, which was cool. And I had it for a long time. And then, you know, I just said, let me switch it up. And then I switched it up. It's just like, you know, even musicians, sometimes they switch up. I mean, you know, Bon Jovi switched up. Look how he looks now. I mean, you know, guys in Kiss, you know, sometimes the way they look with the makeup, they look a little bit different without the makeup, you know? So it's how it is, man. So I think it's cool. I always tell people, you know, just be yourself. If you want to have long hair, short hair, purple hair, tattoos. I even see kids that I train, they come in with a purple streak in their hair, you know, and I'm like, that's cool, man. That's cool. Or the kids wear like a fake tattoo. Like the one boy, Joey, he had like a dinosaur. I said, oh, that's an awesome tattoo. So I'm not one to be like, no, you can't do this. Be yourself, man. Be yourself.
True.
Be
True.
yourself. Don't let anybody ever tell you, you know, well, you shouldn't have longer hair or shorter hair, or you shouldn't ride a motorcycle, or you shouldn't do this or that. Do whatever you want to do, and just as long as be respectful and nice to people. That's what it's all about, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, these people are just too busy kind of trying to tell you what you should do. I have people with friends with tattoos on their face. I think it's great. Guys and gals, hey, man, it's what's in here, right, Kyle?
That's right. That's right. On your journey, you've met quite a few people and made a lot of friends. Come on, drop some names for us.
Okay. Well, you being a Kiss fan, you should know who Alice Cooper is, correct?
Heck yeah.
Yep. So I'm very good friends with the original drummer, Neil Smith. Well, they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And he lives right here in Connecticut. Okay. Yes. And we became friends working on this movie that's on Amazon Prime called Desolation Angels, Rise of the Boas, which is directed by Jason Bird. And we hit it off on set, and then we hung out together. And then we would get together, him and I and Jay and another fella, AJ, and we would go and have a drink sometimes on a Friday, and then he would go back home to his girlfriend, and we would just get together and commiserate. And then Alice came to Connecticut, the Foxwoods Casino with the Hollywood Vampires, with Johnny Depp and Joe Perry and Matt Storm playing drums. And Neil was like, you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I'll go. And Jason and I went. So it was kind of cool sitting next to Neil Smith watching Alice Cooper play, you know. And, you know, being the drummer he is, I didn't want to, like, embarrass myself and start getting into it. So I was just like that. So it was cool. And then we went back there, and he introduced me to Alice and the other folks. And then they did a rehearsal because they were going to overseas to England to play with Alice. And I went, and Dennis Dunaway was there. Mike Bruce was there here in Connecticut, and I got to meet them. And I've been adopted part of the Alice Cooper family, which is really cool. I've met Ace a couple of times. You know, he's really cool. You know, Ace is Ace. You know, he's funny. He's nice. I never met Peter. I've never met Peter. My friend has, but I've met Gene and Paul quite a few times. And with Paul, you know, when I run into, when we see him or he's doing an art gallery show or wherever, you know, we talk about kind of like what his book was about, you know, live to win, believing in yourself, self-confidence. So with that, Kyle, that's what I try to teach my students too. Believe in yourself, self-confidence. And Paul told me one time, he goes, whatever you're trying to achieve, even though you might not achieve it, as long as you've done it your way, you still win. You know, so maybe I'm trying to achieve a goal and I didn't exactly achieve that exact goal. I still won because I've learned about myself, and I went about it the right way, and I believed in myself, and I didn't try to take no shortcuts, and I didn't kiss anybody's butt. And Kiss has always been about, I'm not kissing your butt. This is what we're all about. Take it or leave it. So we get into like deep conversations like that, you know, rather than, oh, that was awesome last night. You flew over the crowd and you did Love Gun on the platform, which is very awesome, by the way. But conversations like that, which are like really cool, you know, and like he has the painting called The Jester. And he said, Alex, we're all jesters, man. I was like, you know what? Yeah, because sometimes we might be portraying this look, and deep down inside we're feeling another look. So yeah, it's really cool, you know, with Paul. And Gene has always been nice. He's funny. And who else? I met John Waite, who's always very cool and very nice.
Oh, John Waite.
John Waite.
The Babies, man.
Babies. Wow, that album, The Babies, Back on My Feet Again. I can go on.
Head First.
Head First. No. Oh. He's really cool guy. Then I met Matt Storm with Neil. Oh, Carmen Apiece and Vinny Apiece. So
Vanilla Fudge, man.
Vanilla Fudge, man. Yeah, all good stuff. So I feel very fortunate and blessed to be able to have good friends like that around me. And, you know, people say, "Are those pictures that you took at Comic-Con with them?" I'm like, no, you know, they're my friends and I run into them. You know, I hang out with Neil when he's around quite often with Jason. And then if Paul's in the area, New York, New Jersey, I'll go. You know, they're both living out in California, so me out here in Connecticut. So it's really cool as a child growing up, listening to Alice Cooper, Kiss, bands like that, and then, you know, meeting them and hanging out with them. It's really like a dream come true. So it's really awesome.
Oh, it would be for me because man, that's my life is music, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what happened.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I started out being in a band, you know, and I was a singer in a band, and we had 2 guitar players, a bass player, and a drummer, and we would play our own stuff, but we would play a lot of covers from Motley Crue to Kiss to Alice to Zeppelin to, like, I could, you know, back in the day, you know, Rat and Poison and Black Sabbath. But you know how it is when you're in a band, you know, different people want to go in different directions and who has a different idea. And then sometimes someone doesn't feel like they're getting enough recognition. You know, the drummer is the, like, how can I say it, is holds that whole thing together, and the bass player, even though the singer and guitar player are up on the forefront. You know, you see Page, Plant, Simmons, Stanley, Jagger, Richards. But, you know, the drummers and the bass player are really the backbone too. So what happened was we just grew apart, and then I enjoyed entertaining. So I think that was just this natural progression into the acting is what I wanted to do. So I'm kind of like on stage. And even when I teach the students, I don't just teach kids, I teach adults too. You're in front of them and you're like on stage and you have to teach and you have to know each child, their strengths and weaknesses, and how am I going to come across to this young boy or girl to get them to do what you would want them to do. Sometimes they come to class, they're lethargic, not into it, so you have to build them up. Some of them are not the most coordinated in the world.
So when you have people come to your school, I'm assuming some of them have things like depression, anxiety, PTSD. What are those words of advice that you're able to give them to keep them on the right path?
Well, first, when they get into class, that's a great question. A lot of them are very self-conscious to begin with, and they're anxious. So I try to calm them down by saying, you're not competing with the next person. You're competing with yourself, okay? And I say, we're all here together. So everybody's here to help you. I'm here to help you. The other instructors and the other people are here to help you. So it calms them right off the get-go. And then when they're doing techniques, if they're not doing it correctly, I have a certain tone with them and I explain it to them, and I make sure all our instructors are great. And how your tone is with somebody can affect how they feel about themselves too. So if I'm sharp like that, they're going to get really nervous and more angst up. If I'm like, okay, look, you did it this way, I can see why. Try it this way because it'll work a little bit better, so they're not all tensed up. And then I also tell them that no matter what belt color is in here, everybody's treated the same way, okay? Because it could be intimidating because you have higher rank black belts and advanced belts, and here I come in as a beginner. I said, yes, we respect the level that they're at, but we're all the same, because when you take the belts off, it's all the same. And even my instructor used to say, you know, you'll be a black belt, someone's a green belt. When you're in a fight, you're not wearing your belt. It's the technique that matters, okay? So if you know your stuff and you've trained properly, then you can handle yourself, you know? So that there in itself kind of like calms them down, and I'm very open. They can interact with me. I'm not like, well, you know, make an appointment and talk to me. You can talk to me whenever you want. And then they look forward to coming, and they feel better about themselves more and more and more. So that's my method of doing it like that. They will get the confidence. I've seen that so much with kids that come in. I had one boy start off, Kyle. His mother told me that when they would go to the restaurant, when the waitress would ask him what he wanted, he wouldn't say. He wouldn't talk. Then he started training. Then he started to tell the waitress what he wanted. And then he started going to competitions and competing and standing in the middle of the ring and saying, my name is so-and-so. This is the form I want to do for you today. So it built up his confidence immensely, okay? I have and still have a young boy who but he always looks on the floor a lot. And I'm saying, no, look up. I want to see your face, man. You're a good looking dude, man. And he's like maybe 10 or 11 years old. I say, man, I wish I looked as good as you. And then he looks up and he smiles and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to see. I said, you can't, if you're trying to kick or block, if someone's trying to bother you and you're not looking at them, you can't see. You can't block. You don't know where to strike. So that's why you got to look up. Oh, yes, sir. And he's going to feel good about himself. So a lot of times with kids, like I have this one little girl, she's all off. She's like all over the place. I go, what's the matter? Well, I find that when I take a break and talk a little bit, I have more energy. So she's like 6 years old. I'm like, okay, so let's do some techniques, some kicks. Okay, back leg, front snap kick, reverse punch. Let's do this, that, and okay. So how was school today? Oh, it was great. We did this and that and that. And I had this for lunch. And then we're like, okay. I said, okay, let's go back to train. And then she was like, did a complete 360. Where before she was just, so you have to find a way, like you said, to build them up and not give up on them. And so that's what you do, and that's what I try to do too.
It's so easy to give up on folks. The hard part is to build them up. Look past your own ego and build other people up.
Yeah, just get over yourself. Try to put yourself in their shoes. Okay, what if that was you that was battling anxiety or battling depression? When people say, oh, just get over it. No, you don't understand it. Don't tell someone that. That's some deep stuff, okay? So try to help them, okay? What if you were going through that? Or what if that was your son or daughter that was having a hard time concentrating or paying attention, looking on the floor? I mean, I've had parents come in and cry and thank me for helping their kids. Because imagine being in a restaurant and asking your son or daughter, the waitress, what would you like? And he's not saying anything. That's hard, and then to hear that I've helped them, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Tons of other instructors have done the same thing. There's a lot of great instructors out there. We try to build them up and make them feel good about themselves so they can handle themselves out in the world. What's going to happen when they go to college and the professor says, here, this paper you need to do over again. You're going to fall apart? I mean, what are you going to do like when you go to work and you have a deadline to do? So it develops the confidence, the perseverance, the drive that I can do this, and I'm not going to let anybody stand in my way. And I'm going to feel good about it too.
If people want to find you on the web, how do they go about doing that?
Sure. You could find me on Facebook, Alex Ziwak, Ziwak. I'm on Instagram, Alex, with the, what do you call it on the bottom, the little line, Ziwak. And
underscore.
Underscore, Ziwak. And then those two places mainly you can find me at. And I'd love to be friends with you and follow what I do, and I can support you in what you do. I'm a big proponent of supporting one another. It's not all about me. It's all about us. That's what I tell the students. It's not all about you. Sometimes when we're in class, Kyle, and we're doing stuff and someone's having a hard time and I'm slowing the class down to try to help them, and some of the people want to jump the count, and I'm like, you have to realize who's in the class. It's not all about you. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but be conscious that there's someone in the class having a hard time. And you have to realize that and know that I'm not going to go the normal cadence because this person has their left foot out when I'm supposed to have their right foot out. So I try to make them be aware. So it's not all about me, it's all about us and we. And if we can support each other in what we're doing, we can everybody benefit out of it, not just me. So I really enjoyed this podcast with you, Kyle. I just made a new friend in Texas. There's someone that I can talk with, hook up with. If you need anything in Connecticut, you just reach out to me. I got a friend in Texas. We just connected. And it was awesome. I just lost track of time, man.
Hey, this was fun. I have to say, it really was. I enjoyed this.
Wow. I'm glad. Thank you. I had a really nice time. And again, thank you for having me. This was awesome. And thank you for everybody that's listening and watching, man. And Kyle, you're the man.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate everybody that watches. Thank you for the support, and continue to check out all the cool videos and interviews we have going on.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network